friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. It is time to go through the books that I read in February and make some spreads in my reading journal. I went for a pretty different approach to my cover page this time, which you'll see. I went for a very minimal style because I knew I wanted to use this sticker from Marigona Suli, but I didn't want to create a big collage for it. I wanted it to be simple. I was also pretty tired when I was setting up these spreads, and I just wanted something that wouldn't take a really long time. And so I went with this very minimal approach with just the sticker and the February title on the left side, and then a list of the books that I read in February on the right side. The alphabet stamps that I'm using here are from Michaels. I got them in the US. I don't know if there are Michaels in other countries, but I really like them. I use them a lot in my reading journal, and I went for this dark purple ink that I think worked really well with the sticker. For the right side of the spread, I used some typewriter stamps from Notebook Therapy. I use these a lot as well. They're probably my favorite alphabet stamps because they're so small and they fit perfectly inside of one square in the dot grid notebooks, if that makes sense. I do have to admit that this is not the favorite cover page that I've made in my reading journal. I think that's okay. I can't hit jackpot every time, you know? It's okay. I think that I made the February title on the right side a little bit too big because now I have a big February title on both sides of the spread. It's just a little bit too much. I also think that I shouldn't have used these book title and author stickers. I like the stickers by themselves. They're from Paper Monogatari, and I love Paper Monogatari, but I just don't think that I should have used these stickers here because I should have just written the book titles as a list kind of centered in the spread instead. It would have looked nicer. Now it looks a little bit messy. But it is what it is. I still think that the stickers are really cute. I used my own purple plaid washi tape here together with a purple washi tape from Notebook Therapy. It's a really old one and it's not for sale anymore, unfortunately, but it was part of one of their very earliest washi tape collections. As you can see, super minimal, and for some people it might work really well, but I just think that the book title and author stickers kind of messed it up a little bit for me. That aside though, February was a very enjoyable reading month for me. I read 3 books. The first one was a reread. You guys knew that I was going to read this book. Crescent City 2, House of Sky and Breath. This is the second Crescent City book and one that came out a couple of years ago. I read it for the first time at the end of 2022, I think. And I remember the first time I read it, I really, really liked it. And now this second time that I read it, I was a little bit, I don't know, I had a very different experience because it wasn't as good as I remembered. And I don't know if it's because I've been rereading all of Sarah J. Maas's books since last summer. There are children in the daycare across the street from me screaming outside, so if you can hear them, I apologize, but they have to live their lives too. I'm not sure what it is about this book. It's not a bad book. It's not that I don't like it. It just feels a little bit messy and a little bit all over the place when I compare it to other Maas books. And I think that the reason why I thought it was so good the first time was that the cliffhanger at the end is just so amazing, and it kind of just overshadows everything else. And there was so much in this book that I could not remember from the first time that I had read it, so I'm really glad that I read it again, and it was really enjoyable. It felt almost like reading it for the first time because there were so many things that I couldn't remember, and mostly it was the end that I remembered very vividly. So yeah, I think that I enjoyed it, even though it is not my favorite book. It is definitely not my favorite Crescent City book. It's a necessary book because there's a lot of information in it that gets picked up in the third book, and so it kind of lays down a foundation, like builds upon Crescent City 1 and then like builds the foundation for Crescent City 3. And I do love the story and I love the world, and I'm always so eager to know what will happen next. And it's been torture having to wait so long for the third book, but overall, the second Crescent City book is not my favorite. I feel like I'm making it sound like I didn't like this book, but that's not true. I still really like it, just not as much as the other books. But it has a lot to live up to, you know? For the decoration of this spread, I mostly used washi and pet tapes from Notebook Therapy's Sweet Ballet washi tape set. I also used a stamp from their Sweet Ballet stamp set, and then I used my own stickers. The girl stickers here, they are from my Elegant Hanami collection over in my shop, ikigaipapir.com, and I will be maybe releasing some new cherry blossom stickers later in March, so keep an eye out for that. I wanted this spread to be very pink and sweet, and these girls, although not ballet dancers, I think they fit the theme very well with all the bows and everything. I also added some pink butterflies that are from a Sticky Club sticker sheet, but the glue on these were not very good and they kept falling out of my notebook as I was like flipping back and forth in between these spreads, so that was a little bit disappointing. For the title, I wrote Crescent City with a sepia colored fine liner, and then I used the same typewriter stamps from Notebook Therapy for kind of the main title, House of Sky and Breath. It was really messy. It's hard sometimes to stamp these well because they are square, and I've been cutting off the edges of some of them, but it just takes so long and I just never got around to do all of them. I also put in this star rating sticker from Paper Monogatari but forgot to fill it in, so I did that after filming this video. To be honest, star ratings aren't that important to me, so I just do them sometimes when I feel like it. I wasn't quite happy with the washi tape that I had put in the top right corner of the spread, so I switched it out for this pet tape with lots of bows on it instead, because I think the thick one was just a little bit too much. So I put in some final details, some more butterflies and some sparkles here and there, and then I used my brown Muji gel pen to write my thoughts on the book. And you guys sometimes ask me, what language am I writing in? What am I writing? I always write in Norwegian. This is the journal where I write everything in Norwegian. My bullet journal is a mix. It's English and Norwegian just mixed together. But in my reading journal, I feel more like writing in Norwegian, even though most of the books that I read are in English, so maybe that's a little bit weird. But, you know, everyone has to just do the thing that makes them feel good, right? Now, the reason why I was rereading the Crescent City books is because the third book just came out. And of course, I read it in February. I used this gorgeous sticker from Sibylline Mayn't for the main decoration of the spread. Although it doesn't really fit the vibe of Crescent City, it definitely fits the vibe of Throne of Glass. This sticker is basically alien. But anyway, I really wanted to use it, and it has really nice sparkly details, and it fit really well with these Notebook Therapy pet tapes that came in their lucky bag last fall. Now, the third Crescent City book is called House of Flame and Shadow, and I do not want to spoil anything for you guys because spoilers are the worst, especially with highly anticipated books that just came out and maybe you haven't had the time to read them yet because there's like 10 other Sarah J. Maas books to read before you can read this one. So I am doing my best to avoid spoilers while I talk about this. So I won't tell you any of my theories, but what I can say is that this book is a lot better than the second, in my opinion. I really like this one. I, of course, was very excited about the cliffhanger from book 2. I wouldn't say that I was disappointed about what was happening. It was all pretty good. I mean, of course, I would have liked more, of that, and now I'm being really cryptic, but anyway. I thought that there was a little bit too much Ethan and Therian because those boys are not the sharpest tools in the shed, in my opinion. It was kind of one of those situations where I didn't really care for their storyline. I just wanted more of the other storylines because they were more exciting to me. There was a lot of things revealed in this book, which was very exciting because I love the lore and everything. Man, it is really hard to talk about this book without spoiling anything. Because of course it is the third book in a series, so a lot of things has happened, and I want to talk about this book specifically and not just the series as a whole, but it is difficult to not spoil anything, and I want my reading journal videos to be spoiler free because me personally, I like to go into reading books completely blind. I don't want to know anything about books before I start reading them, and that's why I usually talk about things that I like or dislike about books that I read and not necessarily the storyline, because I don't need to like summarize the story for you guys. You can just read on Goodreads or SparkNotes or whatever if you want a summary. But yeah, overall really liked this book, have a lot of theories and some that I haven't seen other people talk very much about on the internet, or I guess on TikTok, because that's where I consume most of my book content. There are some very funny people on there that make really great jokes about fantasy books, and I really enjoy that, and I appreciate that. Oh, there is one thing though about this book. I thought that the spicy scenes were a little bit forced. Like, they didn't really make that much sense. If I compare this to, let's say, the fifth ACOTAR book, Silver Flames, A Court of Silver Flames, in that one, it made a lot of sense. And there was a lot of build-up, and it just made sense that it was in that story. But in this book, I don't know, I just felt like, well, first of all, the whole book is like 1 week, and there's just too many spicy scenes that just doesn't make sense, because, like, girl, you have so much to do. You're gonna save the world, but also have time for extracurricular activities. I don't know, it just felt like they just felt weirdly placed and it didn't really make sense to me. Also, there are some loose threads that, I mean, I hope they will get resolved. I know that there is at least one more book coming in this series, apparently, which would make sense with the 4 houses and everything, but I think I read somewhere that the next book from Mass will be another ACOTAR book, which of course I am very happy about because I love the ACOTAR series, so no complaints there. And now I can look forward to the next time I need to reread all of the Crescent City books, which will be right before the 4th one comes out. I used my black bullet journal gel pen to write here because I thought it would look best with a black pen. And I'm pretty happy with how the spread turned out in the end, even though I feel like this is a difficult color scheme to work with. If you read this book, please let me know in the comments what you thought, but do avoid spoilers if you can, because we don't want to spoil anything, but I'd love to hear your opinions on it still. The third and final book that I read in February is one that many of you have recommended to me over the past couple of years, I think, and it's called The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This one I went into completely blind without reading a blurb or anything, so it was a very pleasant experience because the way this book starts is very silly. Like, the language used, it's a little bit childlike, and it does touch on very big topics, but in a very sweet way. I like that the protagonist is a little bit of a gray mouse, it seems like, in the beginning at least, although he comes to realize that he really likes colors and he himself is very colorful. He just needs a little push and to get out of his situation, I guess, come out of the gray city. I really love a lot of the language used in this book, like extremely upper management is really funny. I love all the different magical beings in this book because they're all so random, like a weird Pomeranian. Who would think of that? It's just really funny and sweet. I love how he wrote the children because they behave like children and not like small adults, you know? The author made me really love the characters in this book, and I think that marks a well-written book. I felt touched when Linus, the protagonist, felt touched, and I felt like I really cared about the children. I found out that there is a sequel to this book, which actually surprised me a little bit because I feel like this book stands very well alone. But I mean, it won some awards, and maybe, TJ Klune has more stories to tell from this universe. I will probably read the sequel because I think that the story is just really cute, and I will read about the characters again. So yeah, thank you to everyone who recommended this book to me. You were right. It is a really great book, and it definitely deserves all the praise that you've given it. For the decoration of the spread, I used some washi tape from Notebook Therapy's Komorebi set. This was like a gift set that came with a notebook and washi tapes and a stamp, and you can't buy the washi tape separately. I really like it. I think that all the green colors and the gold is really pretty. I also used some green pet stickers that I got in Japan, and these are the matte pet stickers, so that when you put them onto the page they look like they were drawn on there. They're really pretty. I really like them, and I've been saving them for so long. I've had them in my sticker release paper book, and I thought that they would fit really well color-wise with this washi tape. It would have probably made a lot of sense to make the spread more blue or cerulean but it has a lot of forest in it too, so I don't think that this theme is completely off the mark. Overall, I have to say that February was a great reading month for me. I enjoyed everything that I read. 3 really great books that I'm really happy that I read, and 3 books that I would definitely recommend. So now we can take another look at the spreads that I made for February and get some close-ups here and there. As always, I would love to hear you guys' opinions on the books that I've read, if you've read them yourself, or maybe they are on your TBR list. I didn't talk much about my reading challenge in this video, but I only read fantasy books during February, so I guess I can cross off that on my reading challenge spread because I did save 1 spot for a fantasy book, luckily. If you want to know more about the challenge, you can check out my 2024 reading journal setup video because that's where I set up all of my yearly spreads in my reading journal, and I talk about the reading challenge that I picked for 2024. I hope that you guys have had a good reading month as well, and that March will bring you lots of more great reads. If you have a recent favorite book, let me know in the comments and I can add it to my TBR list. It's always good to share recommendations. If you watched this video all the way to the end, put a blue heart in your comment to let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!